It's the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, dealing with the early life of J.R. Hendrick in a narrated format. Enjoy the fun, my friends. Welcome to the Memorial Day edition of the Swainfield Barbecue, where a picnic table conversation turns into a war of words. This episode is Kyle the Big Monster up in Swainfield house. Let's see how things go. Alright, so we're still on the 24th, if I remember correctly. Yes, okay. So we cut to the ranch, and Christine she's on the patio complaining to her boyfriend David. I spent enough time sitting around this ranch house and watching the dork sit there in the upstairs den, watching his dorky shows. And David's like, now, Christine, listen. I already told your mother that I was taking you to dinner until the sophomore formal dance. Now, that's a considerable amount of time away from this house and away from your brother, who I don't think is half that bad. And Christine's like, you don't have to live with him. I like it better when he was away in college. You heard him today. He's ready to go to law school. Okay, so now it's 3 p.m. Central. There's a new family cook, Rihanna. And she's at the ranch and is making chicken fettuccine Alfredo. When Thomas walks in, ironically, with cousin Max. Thomas, what brings Max here? Jer asks. Graduated from high school. He's working at the ranch with me and bunking with me for a couple of weeks. And Max says, you'll be eating with me tonight. And then he shows his Lubbock Coronado diploma and says, look at that. Thomas said, JR, your fool daddy said he would never graduate from high school. And Max, he goes to defensive Jim. He's like, oh, don't go harping on Uncle Jim. He's our family's hero. And Thomas says, yeah, well, even though your Aunt Betsy owns this property, and her last name is Hendrick. This is a Swain property, meaning JR should have it someday. Okay, and JR is like, he's putting up his nose at it, not knowing that I would have it. He's like dumbfounded. He's like, I'm not sure about that, Thomas. I'm not really cut out to be a rancher. 4 p.m. Eastern. Jim is meeting with his dream team, this planning details of the rally in New York. 6 p.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the family sits down to dinner, obviously without Christine. And Max is like, well, this place just don't feel the same uh, Phil, this, with Uncle Jim not around. And Betsy's like, well, regardless, Betsy said, you know you're always welcome. Say, Max, buddy. My buddy Kevin is going to Washington, D.C. for the weekend. Why don't you bunk with me for the weekend? And we'll try to have a good time. You take after your mother, making me feel welcome, Max said. Well, like my granddad said when he was on this ranch, this is a place for family. In the way I see it, your family. And Max is like, well, you make quite an impression. And Gerald's like, let me give you another impression. Kyle's coming here for the weekend. And half the time, he's antagonistic towards me. I need someone that can appreciate that I'm trying to get a book published. And your family. I want you bunking in with me for the weekend. I think that would be lovely to do for the weekend, Max said. Let's find a way to keep you happy. And Gerald's like, we bunk in the upstairs den. This couch, it makes into hideaway beds. Mike Field spoke up. You kids haven't done that in 12 years. And Gerald's like, and Max was like, it's the weekend that Daddy brought us home from Montana in order to see Uncle Jim come home from Nashville for the weekend. And Mike Field says, you, J.R., and Thomas filled that room. No reason why we can't do it again, J.R. said. J.R., it's a pleasure being your cousin, Max says. I'm going to talk Dad into letting me come back to the ranch for Thanksgiving, so you and I can really hang out. I have to see what's going on, J.R. said. Betsy, I understand some eggs need to be collected in the morning. I'll be obliged to help, Mike Field said. And Thomas spoke up. He says, no, when I can drag Max and JR out to do this job for us. And so it's 8 p.m. and it's at Midway Prep. The dance is in full swing as Christine and David, they're gliding together. And Christine says, it's good to be away from the ranch for a while. And David's like, enjoy it. It ends at 9:30. And then I'll take you for a soda. But your mom wants you back at midnight, David said. And Christine's like, I'm not having breakfast with that dork. And David's like, well, sleep in. He probably will. Okay, so it's 5 a.m. Eastern. And Jim wakes up in the hotel suite to find his Uncle Isaac screaming in pain. He pictures his uncle's citrazidome and sits up to talk to him. We don't know what's going on, whether Isaac has cancer or no. JR, I guess we'll see in the future. 7 a.m. Central. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Betsy, Max, and JR are collecting eggs when Kyle pulls into the driveway. And Betsy rushes out to hold him. He's like, Madison thought you might need a little help for the weekend. So I'll be here working 9-hour days to help you settle some things straight, Kyle said. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. The cattle need grazing. And the horses need to be washed and cleaned. I'm on it. And it's good to see that you put little idiot to work, Kyle said. He means me. Yeah. 3 p.m. Central. JR is swimming. Christine is talking to her brother Kyle on the patio. And not the usual angered banter that they did when they lived together. Just pleasant conversation. I think tables are about to be turned. 5 p.m. Eastern. At the hotel in New York, Jim called the ranch to talk to Betsy. So, Betsy, what's I hear from Thomas that Kyle is back on the ranch? Jim said. Just to do some work. It makes me feel less alone, Betsy said. Just Jim's voice, which started out calm, grew heavy and tense. Don't you start enabling him. Or you just might chase JR away. He's about to publish a book, and I expect him to be treated the way he deserves. I promise, Betsy said. Okay, that's no way to talk to your wife. I understand where Jim's coming from there, but JR, please don't get Daddy the bill. I have no choice. He deserves that. Okay, he deserves that. That's what he gets. Okay, so it's 7 p.m. Eastern. Jim and the Dream Team are having a steak dinner with the governor and lieutenant governor at the East River Steakhouse in New York City. Okay. Oops. Lost the connect there. Let me see. Get it back. Okay. It's now Memorial Day. 9 a.m. In the kitchen, Betsy is having a family cook make fried chicken or chicken fried steak dinners to be held at a picnic table on the South 40 of the ranch. Alright, so it's 1 p.m. Central. In the South 40, the family sits down for a picnic lunch. Betsy asks JR to deliver the grace, which annoys Christine and Kyle. Always gotta turn to little idiot. And little George, he's like, always got to turn to little idiot. And Betsy's like, George, watch your mouth. And eat with your mouth closed. Sit down and pay attention, Betsy says. Now, Kyle, I understand that you have to go run a rig in Ballinger tomorrow. I'm taking little George along with his governess, Kyle said. Oh, how I beg the lever to change the subject, JR said. And Kevin McDonald's like, just calm down, Junior, okay? And Kyle's like, and my brother, what the hell work has he been up to? Kyle said. And Thomas stood up, okay? He's like, if I were you, I would keep your mouth in control. JR is currently working on getting a book published. See? Daddy was right all these years. JR is not fit for Hendrick Oil. Thomas put me back in the golf cart. Sophie, I can't bring my food back to the ranch. I'm eating in my room. Carol, don't go, please, Betsy said. He gets away with saying whatever the hell he wants. I'm not going to be sitting here and being treated like a dirt ball in front of the rest of the family. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. And JR has been ruminating in his room. He's listening to music for 2 hours when a knock comes to the door. And it's Kevin McDonald. You want to explain to me what happened back there? And Kyle says, every time he shows up for a holiday or special occasion, he's always got to poke at me. I guess because Mama don't let him poke at Christine anymore. And I don't see my sister defending me. Shoot. Let it go, Kevin said. Remember, he was the one that dropped out of Reese Prep School. You went on to finish college. That says something about you. No matter what he tells you. He's going to turn around and turn Daddy against me. Once he gets back home. You watch. Come on. You're smart, Junior. You know what to do about that. All right. It's a very short podcast. So once again, I apologize. And probably the one at the end of this week is probably going to be that way as well. So, I'm going to say this. I give it 2.7 root beers, a golf cart, and some of the old music I used to listen to back in those days. I give it 3.6 root beers, a golf cart, and a chance to bunk with my cousin again. There we go. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets a little bumpy from here.